So, welcome back to another episode of the Half and Half Scarf Football Podcast with me, Nick, and my mate Dom. We're getting into the rhythm of the season right now. We've got 18, 19 games to go. We just had a very busy Christmas period, and European football was back this week as we record this on Friday, the 23rd of January. So, this is going out Monday, so it's very current. And so, because there's been such a lot going on, we thought we'd do another observations on the season so far. These seems to be quite popular episodes, and we populate our kind of catalogue with them on a regular basis. As I say, busy set of games over and post-Christmas, and the return of European football. I've got a list a mile long, which means that we're going to do this over 2 episodes probably. But without further ado, Dom, let's talk about observations over the last few weeks, and there's been a lot of them. But before we do that, I know you love that shirt. Let's do the shirt thing for those who watch on YouTube. Yeah. I believe that would be Malmo, is that right?
It is, mate, yeah. Morning, mate. I love this shirt, yeah. It's the Malmo 2016 shirt, title-winning shirt, and it's just a beautiful thing. I just love it. I'm not mad on Puma kids, to be honest, but this is a beauty, and it's stood the test of time. I don't get to wear it much, but it's one of my favourites in my catalogue, yeah. And
excellent.
It ties up with me. I'm in sync with my scarf and my picture today, so.
So hey, you've got to be careful. That's almost a half and half scarf, that mate. You've got to be careful that we don't be doing that. Don't be doing that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that in this episode, mate, won't we?
We will indeed. And I've gone. I didn't know we were going to go international today, but I've gone my Dortmund shirt in honour of the fact that hopefully this weekend Sky Germany will confirm the fixture times and kickoffs for our trip in March so that we can plan to go to Dortmund versus Augsburg. It's always critical on when that kickoff is, whether it's a Friday night, Saturday lunchtime, Saturday afternoon. God forbid it's Sunday afternoon because that creates problems with travel. Yeah. But, you know, my favourite would be either Friday night, which means we can take in another game, or Saturday afternoon, which means we can take in a Friday night game at somewhere like Dusseldorf. But fingers crossed, this weekend we will have those plans finalised. It's all waiting on Sky Germany, so get your bloody act together. Right, enough of that. So without further ado, for those who don't watch on YouTube, and we say this every week, they're switching off in droves, we'll start with the half and half scarves, okay? And I want to give a shout out to Graham Fountain, who's a regular listener or watcher. He's a Leeds fan, goes to all the home games, I think, might go to some away games as well, but he's a big Leeds fan. And despite that, I still like him. And he keeps sending me in pictures of half and half scarves outside Elland Road. And yeah, I mean, we all know we hate them, right? Okay. But he sent me a picture of someone wearing a Leeds and Man United half and half scarf. Now, if anyone's got the history and knowledge of those two clubs, that's why the hell would you do that? They hate each other. And you shouldn't be allowed in the ground with one of those on because you're going to get beaten up, aren't you? You are at Elland Road, by the way. But, you know, a half and half scarf of Man United and Leeds. And another one, before I ask you your viewpoint on that, is I saw loads, and I mean loads, at the Manchester derby. Man United, Man City, Old Trafford. There were dozens. What I would say is quite a lot of them look like tourists. But again, what the fuck? Why are you buying a half and half scarf from two rivals who hate each other? It's a memento of the game. Bollocks. They should be banned, these things. I don't know what, you know, Leeds Man United and Man United Man City. World's gone mad, hasn't it, mate?
Oh, yeah, you know my thoughts on it, mate. It's not about whether you like more than one team. I mean, I support more than one team. It's not about that. It's football's tribal, and I'm not talking about rivalry in an unhealthy way where it's nasty. I'm just talking about it's tribal. That's how football always used to be. You have your club, you wear your colours. It's not really about just buying a tourist scarf for a game you're attending and getting in the ground. I mean, no decent Man City or Man United fan I know would ever wear a Man City, Man United half and half scarf. And again, like you said, how are these people getting in at Leeds wearing a Leeds Man United half and half scarf? It's just the whole thing's just a money making scam, and it's designed for people who are going to one-off games. Having said that, though, the way ticket pricing is now, some people can only get to one game a season. If they feel like buying a scarf, fair enough. But I've always said before, just get the match day badge or, settle for the program. You don't need a scarf. When are you ever going to wear it? It's not like you're going to put it on your wall or anything like that. I have mine up because these are my teams and I wear
Yeah.
these. I take these down and wear them. I also have others that I wear. And, but they're not half and half scarves. Middlesbrough, there's no place for it. Everton, they're all over the place. They sell them by the bucket load. You see people walking in with them. And I just, no,
I,
absolutely no way.
I've got a question about Ellen Road, which is vitriolic and quite a nasty place to go. Great fun, by the way. I love it. It's one of my favourite
I'm
away
the
trips. So
same. It's a
I'm not
proper
knocking
hostile
them.
away ground, isn't it? That's how
Where
it
do
should
these
be, by the way.
But where do these people sit then? Because they
I
can't
know.
be they
I
can't be in the
know.
away end wearing a Leeds half, and they can't be in the home end wearing a Man U half. I don't know where they sit. They must just buy them and shove
Is
them
there
in
a
the
half and
bag.
half enclosure now, mate, at grounds, mate?
They should be called, yeah, it should be called the Tosspots enclosure, shouldn't it? Really. Anyway, moving
Yeah.
on from half and half scarves. No place. If you see anyone buying one, just question them.
Are
You
these the
know.
same people that when you see on the TV, are they watching it through their telephone as well while
Oh
they're
yeah,
recording it? Because they can't watch it live, can they? It's like at concerts now when you get a ticket for a concert that's cost you 400 quid a ticket, and you see these people watching it through the fucking phone. It's like,
yeah,
just soak up the event, switch your phone off, put it away, just watch the match or
yeah,
watch the concert, just absorb it, be in the moment, stop recording it so you can put it on your reel or your, whatever it's called, or your, oh, I don't know
I
what they're called now, mate,
I
but you,
I
you know what I mean,
suspect.
don't you?
I suspect they are the same people. That's a good observation. Listen, I've got some really interesting stuff to go through. First of all,
We've
I
got
want to
plenty,
take.
haven't we? Let's crack on.
I want to doff my cap to a guy called Nick Waits, and he's a Borough fan, and he recently completed 1,400 consecutive home and away games without missing one, except for the
That's
games he wasn't allowed into for COVID.
COVID.
1,400 consecutive home and away games over
That's
God knows.
astonishing.
I didn't look how many years. So Nick Waits, Borough fan. He's
I
been all
doff my
over
cap
social
to you,
media.
sir. That is beyond impressive. That
Yeah.
1,400 is a number, isn't it? I mean,
It,
good God,
yeah.
that's how many years is that? I mean, you
How many?
talk that's 50, that's got to be 40, 50 years of fixtures. That surely.
I don't, but I haven't done the maths. But how many Stoke on a Wednesday nights is that? In how many Barnsley on a cold Tuesday is it, and all that kind of over the years? Well done. So Nick Waits, and what I'd say to anyone watching or listening is, if you're an away fan and you go to any away game, don't let anyone on social media make you feel kind of anything less than proud of that. The post, oh, that's a crap away following on a Tuesday night. Look at that, the small club and all that. Really, anyone who gets in their car or gets on a coach and goes to an away game, well done to you. I go to loads with Rob, and we always take a big away following at Middlesbrough. But occasionally, like Wednesday night at Stoke, it wasn't a sellout, and people are going, "Oh, small club, you're second in the league, you haven't sold out." It was on Sky. It was 8 o'clock. It was pissing down. It was Stoke. Who wants to go to Stoke? We still sold out nearly 2,500 seats, I think. So even if we'd sold 400 seats, the 400 who went would still deserve the
Of course
merit
they
of
would.
saying,
Of course they
So
would.
if you're an
It's a
away
massive
fan,
commitment. Yeah,
yeah,
it costs a lot of money, and it is. It's a huge. I'm impressed every time with the way fan followings up and down the country, but I'm always impressed with the midweek ones because that is a big commitment, and a lot of these people are taking time out of their work schedules a lot of the time to do it as well,
yeah,
fitting in work somewhere else. They're getting there, early evening. They're not getting back home until the early hours. They're probably straight up for work the next day.
yeah,
Like you said, we've been there many a time. This isn't a slag off of Stoke fans, by the way, but it's a bleak place to get to, and it's a miserable ground, and it's never really on your bucket list once you've done Stoke to really keep going back, is it? It's just not. I've been many a time, and it's not my favourite away day. So, Wednesday night when it's cold, raining, yeah, hats off to all of them. And the fact that
no
we took
problem.
over 2,500, I mean, Everton, Middlesbrough are the both in terms of their away support is incredible. I
Yeah,
mean, I've been there many a time. The Rangers pre-season 8,000 tickets, just unreal.
astonishing. Let's talk away games, right? Because this week Man United, sorry, spit. Man City went to the Arctic Circle to Bordeaux Glimt and lost
Yes.
and lost badly to, I would say a couple of cracking goals as well. Played really badly, but here's the thing, right? They took 374 away fans, and by the way, hats off to those 374 people.
Absolutely.
Getting to Bordeaux Glimt on a Tuesday night can't be easy. City were so embarrassed at their performance, and here's the thing that gets me: they have offered to reimburse those fans for that commitment to going. 374 fans, and what they've offered them is £9,000 collectively, which is £24 each. They've basically offered to give them their ticket money back because they were embarrassed of their performance. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say, right? First of all, I don't think you're entitled to any refund if you go and watch a football match. You take your chances that you play well, you don't play well. And if your team is shit on the night, that's just football.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you are going to make a gesture, for God's sake, I'd be embarrassed at that. Erling Haaland is on about £500,000 a week, right? Collectively, the entire squad, it's coming out of squad money, are giving £9,000. That's like a 13 seconds work for Erling Haaland. It cost them flights, accommodation at least one night, I would imagine, £15 a pint, and they're giving them 24 quid for the ticket price back for the match ticket. Don't bother, City, or
Yeah.
do something, or just
Yeah.
be better. It's so embarrassing that I would, if I was one of those 374 fans, I wouldn't take the 24 quid. I'd say you can shove it up your arse, to be fair, because that's just embarrassing. Refund me all of it or say nothing. Or you mentioned off air, a different gesture, do something different.
Just do. Yeah. I'm the same. The first point you made is the really pertinent one for me. You take your chances when you go home and away, and sorry, away, not really home. You take your chances at home as well. But if you're going on a European trip, it's more about the trip, isn't it? You know that it might be a bad game. I mean, a lot of the City fans are probably thinking most of the time it won't be. But yeah, you're not expecting anything from the club. And to be honest, if after the match they played badly, if they were immediately saying I want a refund, then well, come on, that's not how football is. But I totally agree with you. If you're gonna make a gesture as a club, you're that rich. I mean, like you said, just out the players' pockets alone. It doesn't need to come from anywhere else. But you bear in mind they're owned by a bloody country. Make it an impressive gesture. If you're feeling that bad about it, put something substantial towards those fans' next European trip. Make it memorable. Say, do you know what? We're going to put you up in a really nice hotel for a couple of nights, all of you, and shout you your match ticket. I'm not saying go the full hog and pay for the whole thing, but do something substantial where it goes, oh God, you know what? The club didn't have to do that, and they've done something really special for us there. Or like you said, just don't bother. If they didn't do anything at all, you'd rather not do anything at all than not even mention it
Yeah.
than do something as paltry as I'm like you. I'd feel embarrassed even claiming the £24. In fact, I wouldn't even bother. If they refunded
No.
it, be what. But I wouldn't be chasing it.
No.
Whereas, yeah, and then they'll probably publicise that. It's like everything, isn't it?
Oh, they have. They have. They've
Everything's
been
a,
all
everything
over, all
everything's
over
a,
this week. All over this
yeah.
week.
Everything's about, it's all orchestrated and media driven. It's all about clicks and hits and attention. It's something that's wrong with the modern game, isn't it? Like we always say, it's just another thing that's shows how sanitized and generally artificial and fake football's becoming. There's no kind of genuine gestures, and to be honest, if you were being genuine, do something decent and then don't shout about it. As a club, just keep it silent. If the fans want to talk about it, it gets out, fine. But that's classier, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, while we're on City, um, they've signed Semenyo, who seems to have settled in quite
Yeah,
well. They've now signed Mark Gahey, which is a big signing for a really good price. He's a great signing,
20
to be
million
fair.
quid,
So
absolute bargain.
City, I think, have strengthened themselves. They're going in for the running. We'll talk about the Premier League later. Not that we like to particularly, but funnily enough, despite them signing Semenyo and Gahey, no mention of the 115 charges by anyone in this whole scenario. How are City allowed to continue spending money like it's confetti when this is hanging over them? They should be surely have been dealt with by now, or a moratorium by the Premier League says, whilst you're under investigation, we're going to limit or we're going to stop you
Yeah,
spending, because they've just gone out and bought two of the best players in the Premier League for the positions that they need. They don't bloody need them all because they've got a squad of exceptional footballers. But they're just they're taking the piss out. They're railroading
Well,
over,
there's
what's hanging over them.
there's two pertinent points here for me, mate. So the first one is this three-panel committee. They concluded their whatever it is they've been doing
Findings.
for 5-6 years. They concluded their events a year ago. A year ago. Let's have that right. That's a year. So what have you needed a year since then for to still keep dragging this out to a point where you still haven't announced what's going on? Is it really that complex that after you've gone through all your court proceedings and everything else that you need a year to then process what's going on? I mean, bearing in mind to get to the court and the hearings and everything took 4 or 5 years in itself. And the thing that really annoys me here, and again, this is where it smells deeply of fish and becomes rather murky, is what we were saying before. So, firstly, the Premier League could have said, well, they could have probably had the power to set a date where this needs to be announced by and just said, we want this all boxed off and done by this date. You've got until then. But they haven't. They're just complicit in just dragging this on. But the really key bit here for me is Man City keeps saying they've done nothing wrong. Oh, we're innocent in this. So surely as a club, if you're so confident in your innocence that you've done nothing wrong, wouldn't you as a club be pushing for this to be announced as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
But they're not, are they? Absolute abject silence. So that leads to me that they're quite happy for this to drag on and on and on.
Yeah.
Because what I think is happening is they're just hoping that at some point people are going to be so bored or forgotten about it that it'll just kind of like just become old news. And when it hits, it won't make a bang. Well, I think they're misjudging the situation because the longer this goes on, I actually think people more and more want to know what the fuck is going on with this. I do. Because the whole thing stinks. But it's mainly Man City's reaction to all of this that I think is quite telling. Because if I was a club that was innocent, I'd want this out as quickly as possible. It shouldn't take a year past the hearing, should it, mate?
No, it shouldn't. Some of these charges apparently go back to Mancini, and that's 2012, 2013. So the charges go back like 10, 12 years anyway, some of them. Worse than that is, and I've got no love for anyone at the top of the Premier League, but if Arsenal lose the Premier League and finish second again because City pipped them, and City are quite capable of going on a run, of unbeaten to the end of the season, although they're in a bit of sort of dodgy form at the moment. But Semenyo and Guehi strengthen them up and they win the league. I think they've bought the league title in very fishy and suspect circumstances, and it taints the brand and the product of the Premier League. So surely the Premier League want to act on that, or just they don't care because City have got deep pockets and big lawyers, and that's all I want to say on that. I'm not getting into the 115 charges particularly, but it just seems wrong to me that they can just keep going out and spending shitloads of money on really good players and just almost like sticking two fingers up at the authorities really, and kicking the can down the road. Like you say, if you're innocent, you want your day in court, don't you? We've been talking about overseas and Premier League and European stuff. Let's talk about Spurs, okay? The gift that keeps on giving, Spurs, really, for me. And I know we've got quite a few Spurs fans listening, and they're going to be love me wearing the Dortmund shirt because that's what I want to talk about, right? Earlier this week, Spurs beat a pretty average Dortmund side, and you know I know the average because I watch them every week, and then we go and watch them live once a season. I've been following them since 2011, and this is the average incarnation of a Dortmund team. And Spurs are saying they're unbeaten in 7, and you know they scored in every game, and the second in the Bundesliga, the second in a fairly average Bundesliga, to be fair, and you know they're miles behind Bayern as ever. What I'm saying to you now is this Dortmund team isn't a great team. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Spurs beat them 2-0, and it doesn't matter about the sending off because they were well, you know, good value for the 2-0 before the sending off. But suddenly, all over bloody social media, Spurs are now a great side, and Thomas Frank's the man because, you know, hey, we can beat Dortmund. This needs to be a launch pad. This is what we're about. I think they've won 2 Premier League games at home all season, but they've done really well in Europe, which suggests that the Premier League's a lot stronger than the Champions League as it stands, or the fixtures that have been dealt to Spurs. I can't believe the flip-flopping I've seen on social media this week from Spurs fans. On Saturday, when they lost to West Ham, Oh my God, ringing,
I
the
know.
bell for his time's up. Frank's got to go. 4 days later, they beat a bang average Dortmund side. They won't even admit a bang average. We beat Borussia Dortmund. Oh my God, we will beat us. Actually, we could win the Champions League. I've seen some right shit from Spurs fans this week because they won until they lose at Burnley tomorrow. If Spurs lose at Burnley tomorrow, which is there's every likelihood they could lose at Burnley on Saturday. I mean, just Thomas Frank needs backing, right? We've already talked about
Yeah.
managers before, haven't we? If you sack your manager, it says your due diligence was wrong. Give the guy time. Spurs fans get off his back. Football's up and down. It's cyclical. You'll win some, you'll lose some. Stop being like, and I'm sorry to say this, bipolar at both ends of the scale, guys,
Yeah.
because at one end, you're all over him, get him out. And 2 days later, he's the Messiah. He's not the Messiah. He's just a very naughty boy, as they say in that film. But what's your thoughts on Spurs fans and beating Dortmund and what you've seen this week, Dom? It's been hilarious.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. It's just unbalanced, isn't it? You can't. I saw quite a bit on social media of fans suddenly raving about how good Spurs were. Should have been 5-6-0. How amazing they were. This is how they need to be every week. Blah 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 blah. Well, yeah, a European match isn't a Premier League match. Your bread and butter every week is telling you what's going wrong in terms of Spurs and the players, etc. But I'll tell you right now, it's not Thomas Frank isn't the problem. The problem is how football's become in terms of how clubs set themselves up now in terms of hiring. So they don't hire managers anymore. They don't want managers who have input, who are invested in terms of contributing towards players that they bring in terms of properly managing, full ownership of team affairs, keeping things simple. They just want a head coach where as soon as things, vaguely don't go the way they've orchestrated it in their heads, they can suddenly put all the pressure on the coach and say, well, it's the coach's fault. We'll just replace the coach. This is where we're getting to a point, and we've said it in previous pods, mate. You're getting to the point where it's so saturated now because nobody's bothering to actually hire people that actually suit what the club's philosophy is or how football should be run and what the remit of a coach or a manager should be. So Thomas Frank hasn't become a terrible manager since he left Brentford. He was good at Brentford because Brentford properly knew how to hire people and give them the autonomy to work properly.
Yeah.
So that's why Keith Andrews is doing so well. For those who listen to the pod, I'd implore anyone, someone we've got to know and I'm getting to know slowly. Scott Michaels, great guy. I've chatted to him, hope to get to know him a lot more. He's doing great things in terms of, trying to bring back lost football clubs, North American Soccer League clubs, but just his ethos and values around what's been lost in the game. I'd implore people to go and read Scott's site, Football for the Fans and the Matchmaker, and go on Substack and read his articles. He wrote a really good article about the Premier League and managers and why managers are now set up to fail. I couldn't agree more with what he was saying about it. It was basically saying why Keith Andrews is doing so well at Brentford and why people like Thomas Frank and Amorim, etc., aren't doing well at their clubs. It's because Brentford's they're hiring the right people in turn, then letting them do what they're good at doing and keeping football simple. Thomas Frank hasn't become a terrible manager. He's just not being allowed to manage the way he needs to manage a football club.
Yeah.
And it's like we've said before, it's bonkers to me that you can hire someone in the August thinking they're the right person, and all this pressure's on him. And then you've got the media, you've got your usual bloody knuckle draggers
Oh,
like Carragher, he needs to go and all this. Like, no, he doesn't need to go. Stop being lazy. Stop being lazy pundits and just look at what it actually is. Let the man work and let him do his job. And also, it's not just him. When those players cross that line, it's also on them.
mm.
Players have got to play their part. Fans have got to play their part. Do you think having a toxic atmosphere where fans are literally berating him and screaming him is doing him any good? It's like when you hear people, I hear it all the time in matches I go to, fans screaming at players. That's not support. They can
No.
hear it. Do you think they're going to do well when they're screaming at them and abusing them from the sidelines? Let him work. Is it any coincidence that probably I think a lot of those fans go into those European matches feeling like it's a bit of a break. There's a different feel when you walk into the ground. You're not thinking there's 3 points hinging on this. It's a bit like an FA Cup game or a Carabao
Yeah.
Cup game. So sometimes the pressure feels like it's off. It's a different feel. It's a different competition.
There might even be different fans because
Might even different
that's the only
fans.
tickets they can get for the game.
Yeah,
They can't get tickets for the Premier League because they're all season ticketed out, whatever. So it might just be different fans as well. But I can't believe the flip flopping. Spurs are the worst example of it, I think, because they just seem to be both ends of the scale on any given day, and it's not helping. And it's not about Thomas Frank. It's
it's
about the
not.
club.
It
It's
is
about recruitment. It's about the
exactly about the
club. It's
club.
everything.
Yeah,
So Spurs fans, calm down. You beat Dortmund. Dortmund weren't that great.
and give
I'm
your
kind of
manager time.
hoping,
Just give him some time. But then it's not down to you. It's down to how your club. It's if you're going to blame anyone, Spurs fans, blame your club. It's not Thomas Frank's fault.
yeah,
No one can work miracles in 4 months. No one.
no. And here's the thing, I'm kind of hoping as we record this tomorrow, just for the fun of it, that they do lose at Burnley tomorrow and just see what
Well, there's a good chance they will, mate. That's the thing.
see
That's the
what,
thing. It's Spurs all over. You don't know what you're getting. In fact, their fans would probably tell you the same. They don't know what they're going to see week in, week out because there's no
hmm.
consistency. That's the problem, isn't it?
Well, let's talk about fans. I've got two fan issues I want to raise with you. First one I saw on on social media, and it's about Aston Villa fans who were in Istanbul on
Oh, I was
for
looking at this.
Fenerbahce.
Yeah,
Right. This is
yeah.
so itinerary for Fenerbahce. So they've got to get to Istanbul. I've been to Istanbul in February this year. Actually, it's a really interesting city. There's a bit of an atmosphere to it, if I'm honest, an undercurrent and whatever. And I was there for I wasn't there for the football, but there was a derby match going on when I was there, and the whole city was on alert. But in itinerary for Fenerbahce as a Villa fan, mandatory bus pickup from 2 p.m., a 1 hour journey to the stadium, no alcohol inside the stadium. 8:45 kickoff. So they're going to be in the stadium from 3 o'clock. By the time they get in, 3:30 for an 8:45 kickoff. There's a 2 hour holdback after the game until quarter to one in the morning and mandatory buses back. They arrive back in the main square at 1:45 a.m. for a 90-minute football match. So they're out from 2 p.m. until 2 a.m. 12 hours for a 90-minute football match with lock-ins, mandatory travel, no alcohol, and standing around for hours and hours and hours. And by the way, this time of year, I went to Istanbul in February last year. It's bloody freezing, by the way. That's a shocker, isn't it? I mean, first of all,
Terrible.
as a Villa fan, do you really want to go? I don't think I want to go. I don't think I want to go to that. I just don't. I think that's like, I'd love to go because it's an experience, but I'm not doing that. I'm not putting myself through that. That's a shocker, isn't it? That's the worst. And
Terrible.
and you know what? They should be doing that to Fenerbahce fans because it's not the Villa fans who are the problem.
Exactly. It's the home fans. It's basically they'll come out and say it's for their own protection. Really? Come on. You actually really need to, shepherd them into a ground and have them in the ground by 3:30, 5 hours before kickoff. Well, no, you don't. If you just want to keep it safe, you just, if it's 800 fans, you just arrange for their travel to get there a reasonable time before the kickoff. You make sure they have safe access into the stadium. They
Mm.
watch the game, hold back for a reasonable time after half an hour or so. Get them on a coach and get them out. It's almost like you know not trusting themselves, or they'll just use the excuse of, well, they're at risk. Well, they shouldn't be at risk. I don't really think most fans would want to cause them harm. Really, I can't see that being a thing. There's always a risk anyway, but it feels very, very overzealous and very heavy-handed. And just treat this situation with a little bit of common sense, like everything. You're making a away experience. You're ruining it, aren't you? You
Yeah,
could
yeah,
argue on the other side of it, mate. At least if they've got some structure, as extreme as it might be, at least it's not just leaving them to their own devices, like the Liverpool fans were in Paris on the Champions League final that time.
yeah,
That was dangerous. That was,
yeah.
they were just left to their own devices with, some nutcase Parisians literally just all over them. It was like literally like a free for all, and then just the herd mentality of them trying to get in the ground with no organisation. That was worse. If this was organised and it was structured and it was okay, you say, well, at least the structure and the organisation's good, but Does it really need to be that extreme? Absolutely not. It certainly
The
takes the
timing,
fun
the
out of it.
timings are shocking. 12 hours to watch a 90-minute football game is shocking, isn't
Well,
it? Really.
especially when the kickoff's not even till 8:45, by which time you've been sat in the ground for 6 hours. You're not really going to be in the mood for the game, are you? It just takes
I
the sting out of it.
guarantee, I guarantee they'll be freezing as well. It's bloody cold
It
in
is,
Istanbul
yeah,
at this time of
yeah.
year. You know, having experienced it for a conference in February. I've got another fan experience, and this is from one of our regular listeners. He loves the pod with his wife. So this is from Simon Jennison. Hi, Simon. Hi, Michelle. And he sent me this,
Oh,
right? And this is a shocker, right? So this is about Brentford. So Brentford are playing at Elland Road and they're facing Leeds United on Saturday, the 21st of March, okay? But the kickoff's been amended to 8 p.m. So first of all, that's bad enough that you're making a London club come up to Elland Road for an 8 p.m. Saturday kickoff. However, the match will move to 5:30 p.m. if Chelsea reach the AFL Cup final, and that'll be known by Tuesday, the 3rd of February, right? So that gives them 6 weeks. Okay, that's fine, within reason. However, the match could also be moved to 12:30 p.m. lunchtime if Liverpool reach the Champions League last 16 and are scheduled to play away on the preceding Wednesday. This will be known by Monday, the 2nd of March at the latest. So Brentford fans planning to go to Leeds for a game that's, quite an interest. It's a tick box. If you've never been to Leeds and you're a Brentford fan, you want to go to Elland Road. It's a great ground to go to. It's a
yeah,
great bucket list. The away end's a shithole, but that's another thing. But you could be playing at currently 8 p.m. Currently potentially 5:30, and you'll know that by next week. But 5:30 could soon change to 12:30. What are you supposed to do with that as a fan for your travel? Do you need accommodation? If it's 12:30 lunchtime, you could go there and back in a day. You could probably do the same for 5:30. What about 8 p.m.? It's a joke, and they won't know potentially until a couple of weeks before. Just do better. Bloody league fixtures, Premier League, just do better. Bees fans, I feel sorry for you. If that
yeah.
was me, I'd be fuming.
Yeah, I mean the bit about bringing Liverpool into the mix because they are an away match against one of them the following week, and it's just about giving them more recovery time. It's like, for fuck's sake, it's the difference of 4 or 5 hours. Seriously, get on with it. It's a football match.
Yeah,
For the back in the day, years and when we were watching football in the good old days. I mean, Christ, you'd have a European Cup final on. Clubs could be involved in a European Cup final on a Wednesday, Thursday, and playing an FA Cup match on a Saturday. And
yeah,
those days have gone, but it's almost like trying to give them as much time as recovery time as possible. It's like, really, you honestly tell me there's that much difference between kicking off at 12:30 and 5:30 or 8 o'clock? Just book a time and get on with it, and be
yeah.
done. Simple as that.
The
I've got
reason they don't do that is because they don't give a shit about the fans, and
well,
they're the people who are the only people who are important in football are the players and the fans.
we keep saying it. The fans are the absolute most important in football. Take the fans out of the equation and treat them as you treat them, slowly but surely. Which we're not being treated as fans anymore. And I know this is a separate subject, but yeah, we're treated badly. I mean, on that subject, I think I've mentioned it before, but this season has been the worst season ever in terms of fixture rescheduling. Everton, I've never seen a season like it. The amount of Monday and Sunday and midweek kickoffs we've got for fixture rescheduling for TV has just been through the roof. And
Mm.
I'll sum it up by this. This will really bring it home. So the last time we played on a Saturday at Everton home match was the last Saturday before Christmas against Arsenal, and even that was rearranged crazily to 8 p.m. on the last Saturday before Christmas in Liverpool, which
Wow.
was just nuts in itself. Getting
Yeah.
home from that one, I tell you, was fun. Um, we have since then, so that was the 20th of December, everyone. We have not got a Saturday fixture at home now until the 26th of March. So all our fixtures, all our home ones, they're Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Saturdays is like a thing of the past. So for a home team, for home fans to wait over 3 months to see their team on a Saturday, and then this week, lo and behold, that's now been rearranged. Thankfully, it's still on a Saturday, but it's now 5:30 rather than 3 o'clock. I can stomach that. But then, similarly to what you've just been saying, what Simon was saying, that's subject to being rearranged if Chelsea get to the Carabao Cup final. You can guarantee they will. So all of a sudden, that match will be ditched, and that'll become squeezed into a midweek somewhere. So we'll lose
Yeah.
that one. So I can count on one hand the amount of Saturday games you had this season. Saturday 3 o'clock, which is your staple and what you love for and want as a football fan. I mean it's been eroding for years, but it's got to the point this season now because Sky are covering literally every game. It's just gone absolutely crazy, mate. You're very lucky if you get a Saturday game, and it does ruin it for fans. Like you were saying, it massively impacts in terms of actually getting to games for some people, travel to games, but it's hugely disruptive in terms of how your team plays as well. And I know that shouldn't be a thing. The team should just perform regardless. But and as a fan, it's not as nice going to a 4:30 on a Sunday or an 8 o'clock kickoff on every Monday. We've had so many Sundays and Mondays, mate. It almost feels like it's just Sunday and Monday for us now. Our next two are Mondays at home, which is Leeds and Man United. So it's like I just think that's become Sky don't care, and they don't care about the Saturday traditional games anymore.
Going back to like it affects how teams play. There was a really interesting stat when Leeds were in the Championship. There was a podcast I listened to, and they'd done some research when Leeds were playing at Saturday lunchtime kickoff, and they were regularly doing that. Obviously, big
Yeah,
club, good TV viewing audience and all that kind of thing. So they had quite a lot of their Saturday games away from home. Ironically, were sort of 12:30 Saturday kickoff for TV, and their stats for success in those games was piss poor. They let's say they played 10 games over the season at a lunchtime kickoff away from home. This is a team who was flying in the league both times they were doing this, and I think they won like two out of they won two and drew four, but that was completely out of kilter with all their other form in every other way.
I
There's
agree.
something about a lunchtime kickoff away from home that Leeds fans must have gone, oh, not again. They'd go away and lose at teams or draw with teams. If they'd have played them on Saturday at 3 o'clock, for some reason, they'd have
I,
probably been comfortable winning. I don't know what it is, but
Mate,
it
I
does
think there's
affect
something
them.
in that. I do. Do you know what? People listening, correct me if I'm wrong. I might just be talking absolute rubbish, but for me, over the years, it really feels like every time we play on a Sunday or a Monday or an early kickoff, we traditionally don't seem to play as well as a Saturday at 3. I know that might sound daft, but we don't. I dread the Sunday games. We very rarely do well on a Sunday afternoon match, and sometimes those Saturday games. Some people might feel that a 12:30 is appealing. There's something quite early and subdued about a 12:30 kickoff. The
We've got
atmosphere
one
doesn't.
tomorrow.
Yeah, the atmosphere never feels as lively. It doesn't feel like people have really kicked into their day. 3 o'clock has a vibe about it. It just
Mm.
has a good balance. Yeah, I do think there's something in it. I really do.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stats proved it, and Leeds fans will probably back me up and say when they were in the Championship and they were flying, they look at the fixture and go, oh, shit, we've got an away lunchtime kickoff, and the form would drop off a cliff. We've got one tomorrow at the Riverside
12:30,
12:30.
yeah.
But what I would say conversely is I wish we could play all our home games on a Friday night under lights, because Middlesbrough have only lost one game under lights on a Friday night on Sky, one game since 2017 on Friday at the Riverside under lights. We've beaten loads of really good sides as well. So
Yeah.
we beat Ipswich this season, West Brom, etc. West Brom are not that good either, but obviously, but at the time they were up there. We are brilliant on Friday night under lights at Riverside. Conversely, Leeds were crap away from home at lunchtime on a Saturday. It's just weird, isn't it? Really
We
strange.
have. I mean, you could also put your argument. We just have to get used to it. That's what it is. But should we have to get used to it?
No,
I think it's right. I mean, I do think it'll change. Hopefully, if the 3 o'clock blackouts removed, because hopefully it'll mean Sky can screen loads more of their games at 3 o'clock, and we can just get back to some kind of normality.
yeah,
I might sound old and miserable, but and it's why I enjoy the Championship more and the lower league games more, because there's less intrusion into your fixture rescheduling. I mean, there is quite a bit, but nowhere near as much as the Premier League, because Sky have got more and more games. More and more games are rearranged, and I think it is wrong because that's not right for me. That you can go over 3 months and not have a Saturday fixture at
No.
home. Saturdays, that is football. Saturday 3 p.m. Oh, all right, I can tolerate if it's Saturday 12:30 or Saturday 5:30, or even if they rearrange it to 8, it's still a Saturday. But there's something really good about that's what football is. 3 o'clock on a Saturday
Yeah.
afternoon, and to take that away from fans, especially for long periods, it's wrong, and it does change how you feel about your season. And it's hard yards getting to night matches. It's really
Mm.
difficult sometimes. Rushing from work, grabbing the train. Sometimes the 8 o'clock ones are okay, but we've got some coming up that are 7:30. A 7:30 kickoff to get to is really hard. It's
Yeah.
really difficult.
Well, we've got a situation with the Championship and the AFL in general, actually. They have announced their fixtures up to the end of February for TV, but as of March, April, and well, we know the last weekend in May is the last day of the
Yeah.
season. We know that's going to be 12:30. Borough playing at Wrexham, and because I know it's 12:30, I've already booked a hotel for the Friday night, and we're all gonna, go for the Friday night. I don't trust the trains on a bank holiday weekend by any means, so that's not going to
Oh,
happen.
I'm hoping
Um,
there with you. It's only 40 minutes from me, so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that game
but
massively.
but we won't know until the 1st of February what the fixtures for March are. We won't know until the 1st of
Yeah,
March what the fixtures for April are. So we've got less than 4 weeks to organise travel to QPR, for example, which is the first
yeah,
of those weekends in March. Now, at the moment, the ticket prices for the trains are pretty, affordable. You get 4 weeks out, they might be twice the price, but they don't give a shit, do they? They don't care. So we'll still be going to QPR, but instead of paying like 38 quid each for the train from York to London, I probably expect to be paying near a 60, 70 quid each for those tickets just because Sky are waiting to see, oh, what do we fancy? Let's have a cherry pick of those games.
yeah,
I guarantee, because Borough, Coventry, Ipswich, or Hull are playing exciting football, for example, that we're going to have loads of fixtures messed around in April and May,
we will
March and
because of
April.
where we're at. Because we'll, if we're still second, we're one of the teams to beat, aren't we? And
Yeah,
another talking point. It's so evenly matched in all the leagues in terms of playoff places. You can go down as far as 12th in every division. As you know, lots of teams in 10th, 11th are only a couple of points off getting a playoff place. So there's loads of skin in the game for loads and loads of teams in terms of
yeah,
trying to get a playoff place. So yeah, it just yeah. I mean, the travel alone is a really good point. In this country, there's no such thing as having discounts for match going fans. But like we've said in Germany, it's wonderful. If you got a match ticket in Germany, you get free travel within a certain radius. And I think the radius is quite high. I think it's
yeah, yeah,
like Sheffield to Middlesbrough. So it's ridiculously good.
yeah, yeah.
But in this country, that's not. You wouldn't even get that.
No,
It would soften the blow a bit if you had an away ticket and you could get subsidised travel no matter what time it was because you've got a match day ticket. But that will never
nah.
happen in this country because it's all about making as much money as you can out of people, isn't it? Really?
It is. The other thing about fixture changes and middles of being on telly, I'll just raise this with a friend of mine, Phil Marsden, who's a listener. Phil is a Chesterfield fan, has absolutely no love for the Borough. Apparently, Phil, I don't know, you've never mentioned it, but we played you in the FA Cup semi-final in 1997. Um, Controversially, it went to a replay and Middlesbrough won, and you were, I don't know, you questioned some refereeing decision. I don't know, it's never come up, Phil, like every fucking year. Anyway, Phil is a good mate of mine. I don't know why he's a good mate of mine, because he says to me, I hate Middlesbrough, whatever. We've been on telly a lot recently, and he keeps sending me notes on Middlesbrough on telly, so I'm going to turn over and watch Holmes Under the Hammer or whatever it might be. So, Phil, when it comes to March and April, just watch your schedule, mate, because we're second and we might be second, third, or whatever at the time, we'll be on telly a lot in March and April. So I know you love us, really. I know you secretly are a Middlesbrough fan, but and just get over that. It was 1997, mate. It's nearly 30 years. It's nearly 30 years, Phil. But
30
it's nice.
years of hurt.
It's nice that you never mention it much, like all the time. Anyway, enough of that, because Phil's now. I can see he'll be sending me raging emojis. He loves a bit of that. I want to finish this episode because we're going to cover a lot more again in episode 33, which is going to be an extension of this. There's so much to talk about. We've got to talk about AFCON, haven't we? Right, AFCON. I didn't watch a minute of the tournament up
No.
until um, I watched the second half of the game. I had it on my phone saying that it's 0-0 at half time. I thought, yeah, I've dodged the bullet. I really don't care about Morocco versus Senegal, particularly. But it was a Sunday night. It was literally nothing else on telly, and I thought I'll watch the second half. I think it was on Channel 4 or something. I don't know.
It was,
It
yeah.
was on some kind of, like randomly. Oh, AFCON's on. I watched the second half. Not a great game of football anyway, but unbelievable scenes, right?
It
We've all
was.
seen it. We've all seen it. So the ref's performance, first of all, very, very abject. The bias towards Morocco was sensational, clear and obvious. A goal, chalked off by for Senegal, perfectly good, chalk it off for spurious VAR reasons. He was forced to go to the VAR by, the Moroccans and the Moroccan officials and that kind of thing. A soft,
Yeah.
at best, a soft penalty in the 98th minute. And then, like, Senegal walking off. I mean, I don't support walking off. I
No,
don't.
I don't.
An,
I
an
don't.
absolute disgrace. But it was just so bad. The ball boys were stealing the towel from the keeper. There was all sorts of, nefarious stuff going on. It made AFCON and the CAF, who run African Cup of Nations, it made them look a disgrace. It made them look corrupt. It made them look. I mean, they're comparing this to the Euros. They're comparing it to, the big European tournaments for
It's not.
countries. It
It just
just
isn't.
isn't, and
It
it
just
never will be while
it's
they've
not a
got behaviour
disrespect to
like
the
that.
African nations, by the way, when I'm saying that. It just isn't. It just doesn't have the same level of interest. Nobody's that invested. And I'm not trying to sound flippant or arrogant or disrespectful. It just doesn't have the same interest levels. It doesn't. And you can tell it doesn't in this country, because if it did, it wouldn't be screened on Channel 4.
It
It's
had the
pure as
interest on
simple as
Sunday
that.
night, mate. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I literally could not take my eyes off it. Now, the question I've got for you is, at that point, having waited nearly 20 minutes to take the penalty, you're Brahim Diaz, right? At 20 minutes of waiting around, you are the poster boy or a poster boy for your country who are hosting AFCON, who have the chance to win it with the last kick of the game in front of a crowd that were, let's face it, there was fighting, there was tension, but they were really up for it to celebrate. Would you take a Panenka? And did he do it deliberately? First of all, I've seen some shite penalties in my time. I put that there in the top three, top two of all time. I mean, was it stress? Was it pressure? Was it deliberate? Did he feel embarrassed? And he agreed with Mendy beforehand, because Mendy walked out and said something to him just as he's about to take the penalty. By the way, God knows what he said. Nobody will ever know. The whole thing felt wrong, but
Would you think
just
he do it on purpose to
unmissable. I
sacrifice
don't
Morocco?
know.
It's. Do you know what, mate? It's a fascinating one. I mean, I just think the way that final unfolded and all the things that went wrong, it was an embarrassment for the game.
It was.
Anything like that, where you can clearly see a bias and you can clearly see officials. You can almost, you hate to say it because you don't want to believe it happens in football, but there's definitely a leaning towards wanting the home nation to win. You can't orchestrate a football match, and it almost seemed, yeah. I was a bit bemused why he'd take a Panenka and one that was so bad as well.
Yeah.
But then it won by an absolute screamer for Senegal, which is almost like, karma, really. But
But he had to score a
it,
screamer, Don, because he had to score a screamer that there was absolutely no issue with VAR. There was
yeah,
no
exactly.
dubious
Yeah,
offside. There
I
was
was just going to
no.
say it had to be done like that, because so they couldn't then pull it up for something, because you know what VAR's like, they'll try and pull up for all kinds of things, whereas that goal you just can't pull up and say, well, what happened, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes before, let's take it back to half time when they came back out and see if we can find something. um
It was a
on
thunder
penalty,
cluster, wasn't it? He
yeah,
absolutely
and
smashed
on
it.
penalties, that's a good opener into penalties. I've seen some terrible penalties over the years, and most recently at the FA Cup match at the Hill Dickinson against Sunderland 2 weeks ago, when we watched 120 minutes of football for it then to be decided by 5 minutes of penalties. So I can forgive James Garner his, because he was brilliant the whole game and he's a fantastic player, and he scored a penalty that we shouldn't have got, that got us to 1-1 and then extra time. He missed his penalty in the pens. It wasn't a great pen, but the two from our so-called strikers, Beto and Barry, were just two of the worst penalties I'd ever see. And it was the usual, like we were talking off air, and me and you are the same on penalties. I cannot stand these mincing, stuttering run-ups, flip, have a fit, roll on the floor, shake up and down, do some kind of tribal dance, half stop, sit down for a cup of tea, get a bus somewhere, come back, and then finally tap the ball, and the keeper just literally stands there and stops it. We did all this mincing around. Sunderland stepped up for all three of theirs, placed the ball, took three
Twatted them.
steps back, bangs. Yeah, exactly. A proper Alan Shearer-esque penalty.
Yeah.
I might sound miserable here, mate, but I just think that should be taken out of the game. All these stupid stuttering run-ups and, mind games with the keeper and when they come to a virtual stop and then stagger I think it should be brought in. It's like, right, you put the ball down, you take three steps back, you have to run towards the ball and hit it. That's the rule.
There was a rule though saying that the stutter run, if you stopped in that stutter run, you had to take it again.
Yeah.
So there's a very fine line between I'm stuttering. I mean, some of these players who take them. I'll give you an example. Tommy Conway from Middlesbrough, right? He missed two penalties. He missed one at Norwich last season, which would have put us 4-1 up, and we were 3-1 at the time. Game over. He missed it with a stuttering, stupid stut, and missed it. Same this season. We were away at, it was last season actually. We were away at Sheffield Wednesday,
Yeah.
and stutter, missed the penalty. Now, Tommy Conway went 14 games without scoring this season, and we got a penalty at home again, and I can't remember who it was against, who he scored recently. But he took the penalty at home for his first chance to score in like 12, 14 games. Funny enough, Tommy, he just ran at it and battered it in the corner.
Yeah.
He didn't stutter, and he scored. Why do people stutter? And you know what? If you're a keeper, just stand still, because a lot of them go down the middle these days, and that, a Panenka looks ridiculous when it lands in. It hardly even reached Mendy, did it? By the way, that one. But
Yeah.
but when the stutter, it's designed for the keeper to make a twitch, isn't it? And I get the psychology of it, but as a fan, we just want to see an Alan Shearer-esque, don't we? Have a run, batter it, bury it.
That's how it should
Julian
be.
Julian Dix never missed penalties. Julian Dix for
No.
West Ham years ago. He had a foot like a bloody sledgehammer, didn't he? And you're not saving it. He's even if he puts it down the middle, he's putting it down the middle with such force. None of this like chippy, like you say, stop, start, have a cup of tea.
Some of them do. I mean, I know they'll argue. Well, I actually think some of them do stop. I mean, they'll always argue. Well, it's slight hesitation. The foot and the leg are still in motion. They don't. They pretty much stop.
Yeah.
I just think it should be taken out of the game. I mean, loads will argue. Well, if that's how they want to take a penalty, it gives the team the goalkeeper an advantage. Let them continue because it's their own bloody fault. I get that.
Yeah.
But I just think no one wants to see these shit penalties. It never used to be a thing. It's again, that's something else that's just creeped into the game. It's a nonsense. It's just rubbish.
There's a lot creeps in the game.
There's an art to taking a good pen as well, though, mate. So even if you then step back and then batter it, you've still got to have the conviction to know that you're hitting it right, so it gets in the top corner or it goes right in low, next to the post. There's a skill in doing that, but I'd say 9 out of 10 times you're going to score. It's the powers with you rather than you doing this stuttering stuff, which it gives you less odds and makes the keeper more favourable to save it.
All that said, Harry Kane hasn't missed a penalty since he went to Bayern Munich. I don't think he missed many penalties for Spurs and or for England.
Yeah.
He's a great penalty taker, but he does have a little stutter halfway through. Now, we're not going to sit here and complain if Harry Kane buries a stuttering penalty in the World Cup final. We win the World Cup, are we? I guess, but I agree with you. He
does his stutter at the start, so he has this ritual. So his little thing with his legs, that's at the start. And then he runs it. Then he runs to the ball and smashes it. He doesn't stagger and do all this stuff,
Halfway through.
He was the guy who was the Italian guy who used to play for Chelsea and Arsenal. He used to do the bunny hop halfway through. It was like, what the hell is that all about?
Cole Palmer does that, and so does Fernandez for Man United. Don't they do this Fernandez as well, doesn't he, for Chelsea?
Yeah. But so, the other week really confirmed to me in my head that that is how I think it should be. All three of the Sunderland penalties were class, brilliant,
Yeah,
proper penalties, all cleanly hit. Scored all three, job done.
you
Off we
missed all
go.
three, didn't you?
We missed all three. Yeah, two of them from
Okay.
strikers, mate. I'll say no more.
Well, they're not strikers because they're your strikers. They're absolutely shite, both of them. But they were leaving it at that. So you mentioned earlier, it's just something else that's creeping into football. Listen, mate, we wouldn't have a podcast if there weren't things creeping into
Oh
football.
no, I know. Yeah, we're two miserable, grumpy old men, aren't we, mate? But let's face it, the game is going to shit, and that's we'll bring lots of elements into future pods. But the Premier League is a terrible spectacle, and there's more to be said on that. But there's lots to moan about because there's lots of things creeping into the game that shouldn't be in the game for me.
Our merchandise for the Half and Half Scarf football podcast should have our logo and brand on the front, and it should have "the game's gone" on the back, shouldn't it? Because that's literally
Yeah,
how many times have we used the phrase
the
"the
game's
game's
gone.
gone." It should be. I might get a tattoo with that. I won't really. I'm too old for a tattoo, but there you go. Listen, we've got loads more, so we're going to
Oh,
do
we
that in a sec. We're
have.
going to do that in a second follow-up episode, episode 33. So that's been some observations on some recent things. There's been a lot in there. It's been quite a good moan. I've enjoyed the cathartic moan there this morning, mate. So
I have.
thank you for that. Basically, we are going to extend that into episode 33 next week because we've still got a list a mile long. Can't get that to move its thing. Oops, there we go. Go backwards. There you go. Episode 33 next week. Continue our observations because my list is not exhausted and you've got a list that we haven't even touched on. So
Yeah,
I'm conscious of time. I'm conscious that a couple of episodes recently have gone over a limit that we'd rather not. So hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. Hopefully it's given you some food for thought. We've covered a lot of things from merchandise to 115 charges to the fan experience abroad to hollow gestures to what's happening with regard to penalties and AFCON and all that. So it's been quite an interesting and diverse episode. Next week will be just as diverse and hopefully just as interesting. So without further ado, Dom, it's been an absolute pleasure as ever. For those who are watching or listening, please bear in mind that we're on YouTube, we're on all the your favourite podcast platforms like iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Dead easy to find us. We've got a LinkedIn group, again, dead easy to find. Put the full Half and Half Scarf football podcast with Nick and Dom. Join in, get involved, send us your stuff. Simon Jennison, Graham Fountain, thanks for your contributions. We've had contributions recently from Matty in Newcastle. Please feel free to suggest subjects for us, suggest things that piss you off that we can discuss and debate because that's what we like to do, don't we, Dom?
we do. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. There's more to come next week, and more topical debate on lots of things. But thanks everyone for supporting. Thanks for all those who've contributed. And yeah, please, put some stuff in the group or whatever podcast platform you use, and we'd love ideas that you want us to discuss or things you want us to explore more. And yeah, thank everyone for your support. We're loving doing this, and there's lots more to come. Enjoy today's, mate. Yeah, been good.
Always do. Okay, mate. See you tomorrow. Are you coming up for the
Coming
game
up
at
for
the
the Preston
Riverside?
game, bright and early for 12:30. I'll be there, mate. And yeah, hopefully see you at the Guinness Hub for an early Guinness.
A free-flowing team against a team putting a low block out. It's always interesting to see how we can overcome that challenge because I think Preston are going to come with a view to getting a 1-0 on the break. That feels like
I
that to me.
suspect
Let's
as
see.
much as well. So it'd be nice to see how we combat that. I'd love to see us win. It just strengthens our position. We're doing well again at the moment, so long may it continue. Lots of
Yeah,
difficult games to come. It's a
there
hard
are.
league. Yeah.
It is. Okay, mate. Great to see you. See you
I'll see you
tomorrow.
tomorrow, mate. Yeah. Nice one, Nick. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.